Have you ever wondered why Japanese seniors, even well into their 80s and 90s, seem to experience far fewer urinary tract infections than people in other parts of the world? The answer isn't just genetics or luck. It's a combination of daily habits so simple, so deeply ingrained in their culture, that most of them don't even realize they're preventing one of the most common and painful health problems that affect older adults. If you've ever experienced that terrible burning sensation, when urinating, the constant urge to go to the bathroom even when your bladder is nearly empty, the lower abdominal pain that makes you want to curl up in bed, or the fear that comes with recurring infections that seem to happen every few months no matter what you do, then you know exactly how debilitating this condition can be. You've probably tried antibiotics, changed your diet, increased your water intake, and still found yourself back at square one, wondering if you'll ever be free from this cycle. The truth is, while Western medicine often focuses on treating infections after they occur, Japanese culture has mastered the art of prevention through daily rituals that support urinary health in ways that modern medicine is only now beginning to understand and validate through scientific research. If you've ever woken up in the middle of the night feeling that burning sensation when urinating, or if you've had to cancel plans because of an infection that seemed endless, you're in the right place. Before we continue, click the subscribe button and activate the bell notification. This way, you'll become part of our intimate health community, where we share real solutions that doctors rarely mention. Each video is like a detailed consultation, but in the comfort of your home. Subscribe now and begin your journey to a life without the discomfort of urinary tract infections. Today, I'm going to share with you 5 specific habits that Japanese seniors over 60 practice religiously, habits that have been passed down through generations and are now being studied by researchers around the world who are trying to understand why this population has such remarkably low rates of urinary tract infections. These aren't complicated medical procedures or expensive treatments. These are simple, practical habits that you can start implementing today, regardless of where you live or what your current health status is. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete roadmap to transform your urinary health using wisdom that has stood the test of time. Habit number 5 is something so simple that you might be tempted to dismiss it, but I urge you not to. Japanese seniors over 60 practice what they call the art of complete bladder emptying. And it's not just about going to the bathroom when you feel the urge. It's about taking the time, every single time, to ensure that your bladder is completely empty before you leave the restroom. In Western cultures, we've become so accustomed to rushing through everything, including our bathroom visits, that we often leave urine in our bladders, creating the perfect environment for bacteria to multiply and cause infections. Studies have shown that even just 50 milliliters of residual urine left in the bladder can increase your risk of developing a urinary tract infection by up to 40%. Japanese seniors have perfected a technique that involves sitting in a specific posture, taking deep breaths, and gently pressing on the lower abdomen to ensure complete emptying. Let me tell you about Akiko, a 72-year-old woman from Osaka who had suffered from recurring urinary tract infections throughout her 50s. When she turned 60, her grandmother taught her the traditional method of complete bladder emptying. She learned to take her time in the bathroom, to sit in a slightly forward-leaning position that naturally opens up the urethra, to breathe deeply and relax her pelvic floor, muscles, and to gently apply pressure to her lower abdomen in a circular motion. Within 3 months, Akiko's infections stopped completely. She hasn't had a single urinary tract infection in 12 years now. The science behind this is straightforward. When urine remains in the bladder, bacteria have more time to adhere to the bladder wall and multiply. By ensuring complete emptying every time, you're giving bacteria no opportunity to establish themselves. A study in the Journal of Urology found that participants who were taught proper bladder emptying techniques reduced their incidence of urinary tract infections by 63% over 12 months. The key is consistency. Habit number 4 involves something that most people think has nothing to do with urinary health. Japanese seniors practice thermal regulation of the lower body, based on the principle that keeping your kidneys, bladder, and lower abdomen warm improves circulation, supports immune function, and helps maintain the optimal environment for urinary health. In Japan, you'll see seniors wearing haramaki, a wide band of soft fabric worn around the midsection, even in relatively warm weather. When your lower body temperature drops, blood flow to your urinary organs decreases. Your immune system's ability to fight bacteria becomes compromised, and bladder muscles don't function as efficiently. Think about Hiroshi, a 68-year-old man from Kyoto who suffered from urinary tract infections every winter. His wife suggested he start wearing a haramaki and keeping his lower body warm. He started wearing it under his clothes year-round and taking warm baths in the evening, focusing on keeping his lower body submerged for at least 15 minutes. That first winter, for the first time in over a decade, Hiroshi didn't get a single infection. He's been infection-free for 5 years now. The scientific explanation is fascinating. When you keep your core temperature stable, you maintain optimal blood flow to your organs. Better blood flow means more white blood cells ready to attack bacteria before they establish infection. Warm temperatures also help maintain the integrity of mucous membranes, making it harder for bacteria to adhere. A study at Tokyo Medical University found that participants who maintained warmth in their lower body had 38% fewer infections. You can implement this by wearing an extra layer around your midsection, using a heating pad for 15 to 20 minutes daily, and taking warm baths regularly. Let's pause for a moment. I want to ask you something personal, and I promise it's not invasive, but rather liberating. How many times have you felt that pain, that burning sensation, and preferred to keep it to yourself without telling anyone, not even those close to you? It's as if no one really understands what you're going through, isn't it? This feeling of loneliness can be as painful as the symptoms themselves. If you identified with what I'm saying, I want to invite you to share your experience in the comments. It can be something simple like, "I've been suffering for X years and never knew these Japanese habits existed." Your comment might seem small to you, but for someone reading it, feeling the same pain in silence, it could be exactly the light that person needs to seek help. You are not alone on this journey, and your story can help create a support network that many of us never had. Comment now, while this feeling is present, and let's together break this silence that only makes the pain worse. Habit number 3 is going to challenge everything you think you know about hydration. We've all been told to drink more water to flush out bacteria. Japanese seniors certainly drink water, but they do it in a very specific way called strategic hydration timing. They focus on drinking the majority of their daily water intake in the morning, particularly within the first 2 hours after waking up. During the night, urine becomes more concentrated in your bladder. This concentrated urine is more acidic, which can irritate the bladder lining and create an environment where bacteria thrive. When you wake up and immediately begin hydrating, you dilute that concentrated urine and flush out bacteria. Japanese seniors typically drink between 300 to 500 milliliters of room temperature water within 30 minutes of waking up. They continue drinking regularly until about 2 p.m., then significantly reduce water intake to avoid waking multiple times at night. Let me tell you about Yuki, a 74-year-old woman from Nagano who was drinking nearly 3 liters daily but still getting infections every few months. She was frustrated from waking up 3 to 4 times nightly to urinate. When she visited her sister in Okinawa, she learned about strategic hydration timing. Yuki restructured her schedule completely, drinking 2 large glasses first thing in the morning, continuing through early afternoon, but stopping fluids 2 hours before bedtime. Her nighttime bathroom trips reduced from 4 to just once, and her infections stopped. It's been 4 years with only 1 infection compared to 6 to 8 per year before. Research in the International Journal of Urology showed that participants who consumed 60% or more of their daily water before 2 p.m. had 47% fewer infections. This pattern allows the body to process fluids during waking hours when the urinary system is most active, while avoiding bladder irritation from nighttime urination. Habit number 2 is something Western medicine has largely overlooked. Japanese seniors practice daily consumption of fermented foods specifically chosen for their impact on urinary health. They understand that urinary tract health is directly connected to gut microbiome health. The key foods are natto, a fermented soybean dish, miso, a fermented paste used in soups, and tsukemono, fermented vegetables. These foods contain specific strains of beneficial bacteria shown to reduce harmful bacteria colonization in the urinary tract. The most important is Lactobacillus plantarum, found in high concentrations in Japanese fermented foods. This strain produces substances that inhibit E. coli growth, the bacteria responsible for 85% of all urinary tract infections. Japanese seniors consume fermented food with every meal as a normal part of their diet. Let me share about Takeshi, a 66-year-old man from Hokkaido who suffered recurring infections for 10 years after being diagnosed with an enlarged prostate. His mother suggested eating natto every morning. He started with 1 tablespoon mixed with rice. Within 6 weeks, he wasn't experiencing the early warning signs anymore. After 3 months, he had his longest infection-free period in a decade. That was 8 years ago, and he's only had 2 infections since, compared to 20+ in the decade before. A study in the Journal of Clinical Microbiology showed that participants consuming foods high in Lactobacillus plantarum had a 58% reduction in infections over 12 months. These beneficial bacteria compete with harmful bacteria for adhesion sites, produce antimicrobial compounds, strengthen urinary tract lining, and modulate immune response. The Japanese approach is effective because of consistency and variety, consuming multiple fermented foods daily with different bacterial strains. If you don't have access to Japanese foods, consume sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, and kombucha, as long as they're unpasteurized with live cultures. The key is daily consumption. Now, habit number 1, the one that goes against almost everything you've been told. Japanese seniors practice controlled urination scheduling, the exact opposite of going to the bathroom as soon as you feel the slightest urge. They understand there's a critical difference between holding urine to an unhealthy extreme and training your bladder to have appropriate capacity and control. They practice a deliberate schedule that involves gradually increasing intervals between bathroom visits, training the bladder muscle to be stronger, more resilient, and more resistant to infection. When you go every time you feel even the smallest urge, your bladder never fills to optimal capacity. The muscle becomes weaker. And paradoxically, you end up with a bladder that's more irritable and prone to infections. Japanese seniors learn to gradually extend time between urinations, starting with 15 to 30-minute delays and working up to comfortable intervals of 3 to 4 hours during the day. Let me tell you about Sachiko, a 70-year-old woman from Tokyo who urinated every 30 to 45 minutes throughout the day. She thought she was preventing infections by never letting urine sit. Instead, she was getting infections constantly, sometimes 2 or 3 times monthly. When she consulted a urologist specializing in bladder retraining. She learned her frequent urination had weakened her bladder muscle so it couldn't contract effectively to empty completely, leaving residual urine that bred bacteria. The doctor put her on a program, starting with waiting an extra 15 minutes whenever she felt the urge. Over 6 months, Sachiko gradually increased intervals until she was comfortably urinating every 3 to 4 hours. Her infections stopped almost completely, and she regained her independence and quality of life. Your bladder is a muscle that needs exercise to stay strong. When you urinate too frequently, you're not allowing the muscle to stretch and contract through its full range of motion. This leads to weakness and incomplete emptying. A study in the European Journal of Urology followed 147 participants over 60 through bladder retraining programs. After 6 months, participants experienced a 71% reduction in infections and 49% improvement in complete emptying. The key is patience and gradual progression. Start with small extensions of 10 to 15 minutes and slowly increase over weeks and months. Japanese seniors combine this with mindfulness and breathing techniques to manage initial discomfort. So there you have it, the 5 powerful habits that Japanese seniors over 60 practice to keep urinary tract infections at bay. First, complete bladder emptying through proper posture and breathing. Second, thermal regulation, keeping your lower body warm. Third, strategic hydration timing, front-loading water intake in the morning. Fourth, fermented foods containing beneficial bacteria. And fifth, controlled urination scheduling to retrain your bladder. These aren't quick fixes, but lifestyle habits requiring commitment. The beauty is they work synergistically, creating a holistic approach addressing root causes rather than just treating symptoms. You can start implementing these habits today. Start with one, master it, then add another. If this video helped you better understand what's happening with your body, imagine what the next ones can do for your health. Subscribe to the channel right now and join thousands of people who have already transformed their relationship with intimate health. Here you'll find more than just medical information. You'll find understanding, practical solutions, and a community that knows exactly what you're going through. Click subscribe, activate notifications, and together let's build a life with less pain and more well-being. Your health deserves this attention. I want to hear from you in the comments. Which of these 5 habits surprised you the most? Have you been making any of the common mistakes we discussed today? Share your thoughts and experiences below. Your story could be the encouragement someone else needs. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up so more people can find this information. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. You now have knowledge that most people don't have. You understand that prevention is possible, that your daily habits make a tremendous difference, and that simple practices can be more powerful than any single medication. Take this information and use it to transform your health. Start today. Be consistent, be patient with yourself, and trust that each day of healthy habits is building a stronger, more resilient urinary system that will serve you well for years to come.